James, and I am that English teacher on TikTok. I'm so glad to join you today from the Southern United States, and I'm here to help you a little bit with verb tenses. I don't consider myself a master in English. I just consider myself a learner of many years. So with the many years of learning, I have developed some knowledge of the English language. I am not perfected by any means, but I am learning, and I love to learn, and I want to learn with you today. So welcome. Well, nice to meet you. So if I said she what am I going to put here? She blank been helping me. Yes, she has been helping me is right now, and past tense, she had been helping me. Understood. Very good. What
Next.
do you say? Which one do you say? Let me see. I'm trying, and this is just me coming off the top of my head, so I don't have anything planned. Okay, and just for sort of a knowledge, cheer team is when you rah rah rah, you know, for another team. So is it what am I going to put here? I on the cheer team. What verb are we going to put here? Am or I is? Am, correct. Do you ever say I is? You never say I is. What do you know when you use is? Which one you use? You use she, he, and it is. But those are the only ones, those singular nouns are the only ones, singular pronouns are the only one you use with is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next. Sai Surya.
Are. They are. Do you know in America, and I do not know why, a lot of people say they is. It's wrong.
Yes.
It's always they are. Always they are.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So
we ran, runs towards the store.
Ran.
Okay, rerun is right now. Past tense will be what? Ran. And this runs is not going to be with we. When you use runs, she, he, and it runs. Okay?
yes.
Thank you. And this is something I'm going to have to study on this, because do we use toward or do we use towards? And that's something, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to make a video about that, because that's a little tricky on that one, okay?
Yes, yes. So now
Seesaw sing. That's the one that Americans mix up the most. Is it who see where she hid the stone, who saw where she hid the stone, or who seen where she hid the stone? So who, can you say who seen where she hid the stone? No. Can you say who saw? Who saw, and then that makes it be a past tense verb.
yes.
Who saw where she hid the stone is past tense. If I use the word seen, what happens if I put seen? Who seen where she hid the stone? If I put seen here, what is wrong with this sentence? Two things are wrong with this sentence. If I wrote who seen where she hid the stone, it's two things wrong with this sentence. When you use seen, you have to use that past participle. Who have or has? Do you say who have or who has? Who has seen where she hid the stone? One more thing is wrong with this sentence. What else some additional? The reason with who is just one. One. So with one, who is the same as he, she, and it. So with he, you could say he has seen where she hid the stone. She has seen where she hid the stone. It has seen where she hid the stone. So who is singular, just like the singular pronouns, he, she, and it. Make sense?
Yes.
Speak, or how do you say that? What verb tense of speak goes with he?
Okay, students respond.
He speaks. He
Yes.
speaks.
He speaks. He speaks to me. Now, still thinking about speak. What verb tense do you have if you want to say past tense? He what?
So,
To me. Past tense.
past
He
tense.
what?
Respond, students.
What's past
He
tense?
spoke to me.
He
He
spoke
spoke
to me. Very
spoke
good.
to
He
me.
spoke to me. What is the past participle?
Past participle. Third form.
Spoken. Spoken
Yeah.
to me. He has spoken to me.
Very good. Yes, he has spoken to me. Very good. Now, if we want to take he away, and we're going to start with I'm going to actually put, I'm going to put you guys, because we're going to talk about you and what we're doing right now. The class to me. So you're a class. It's a lot of you. So what form of speak do I have here? The class what to me? Is speaking to me. The class speaks to me. And the class, if we want to go past part, the class has spoken to me.
Has spoken to me.
So let me ask you this. Class, that's a lot of people in it. It's just not one person. The class is made up of a lot of people. Why, if I said class and that's a lot of people, why am I still using this singular verb? Why am I still using is? Because you use he is with like he is, she is, it is. Why am I using is that's for a singular pronoun or noun? Why am I using that for class when class is definitely a lot of people? Do you know why? I use class and I use the singular verb is because class is not, it's considered one thing. It's a collective noun. So it's just one.
Yes.
So it could be the same thing as one student is speaking to me, but it's a lot of students in the class, but you would think you would use a plural, but it's not because it's just one noun. It represents just one noun. Does that make sense?
Yes. In order to speak English fluently, what topics are mandatory for the students to learn, to master?
I think that when you're talking about English, what's something that is just really just mandatory for you to learn, I would say it's according to what your goal is. If your goal is just to learn English to be a tourist guide, then you're quite naturally you're going to find that language that, you know, hotel, street, name of towns, directions, that type of thing. If you're going to work in an airport, it will be something similar. So it really depends on what your focus area is. But if you are wanting to study English and master the language, I would say the thing that you would need to learn the most is just like what we're doing now, is you're going to go into the world, what we call academia, which has to do with the academic. So you're going to learn all of the professional words to use. Just like I use the word academia, which means something that's related to academics or learning. And we call that sort of like our professional vocabulary. So I would say learn something that's related to what is going to make you be successful. Some of the times some other parts, say for instance, I just want to learn things that have to do with me teaching English and being a better English teacher. I'm really not going to be worried about learning terms or terminology that have to do with science, because that's not something that I'm going to be using all the time. But if I'm into learning English and wanting to better my English learning skills, I'm just going to learn things that have to do with that. I'm not going to go into the sciences vocabulary, or even like musical terms. Like one time we had a student that actually did come from India, and he wanted to learn to speak English, and he had this music book, and he wanted to learn all the musical terms and what they meant. And I understand that Kashawn wanted to, practice, and he wanted to play the clarinet, but he couldn't communicate in the English class to even learn the language. And I was like, wait a minute, let's learn English first and learn some of the basic skills, and then we'll move over into learning some of the terms and terminology that have to do with music. And he ended up, it was amazing. In 6 months, he not only mastered the English language in enough that he could actually have a back and forth conversation. But
Now, I request you, please give us some tips to my students to master this language.
I'm not a linguist, and that's a person who specializes in language. But I've become sort of a master at TikTok. And one of the things that I've had a lot of people who are learning the English language and are trying to master it. Now, I don't know, I haven't done it, but I've heard this comment over and over and over again, to find good movies, find good American movies that have subtitles, and read those subtitles as you hear those people talk. And I've had people tell me they learned the whole language in just watching movies and reading the subtitles.
I want to teach a grammar topic, for example, tenses. I can start with examples and then I explain the rules. And another method, I start with rules, then I give examples. So which one you prefer?
He is, she is, it is, they are, we are, you are. He speaks, she speaks, it speaks, they speak, we speak. This is the method I prefer, because it's verbal and it's auditory, and it hits more, and it's sort of, it almost ends up becoming a song, in that you can hear it in your head when you come to where someone is at. So he laughs, she laughs, it laughs. Oh, I misspelled it. They laugh, we laugh. Okay, now students, I want you to say along with me, okay?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna show you how engaging this can be. It's the most simple method, but it's also
All of you say.
1, 2, 3. He is, she is, it is, they are,
Yeah.
we are, you are. Let's start all over. If I want you to say it as I point, you say it with me. Say it with me. He is,
He
she
is.
it is, they are, we are, you are. Okay, now speaks. He
Speak.
speaks.
She
She
speaks.
speaks. It speaks.
They speak.
We speak. You speak. He laughs. She laughs. It laughs. They laugh. We laugh. You laugh. There we go. Simple, just like that.
yes.
So, and I probably have close to 5,000 ESL teachers that follow me, and they all tell me, they ask me, how did you come up with this? And I was just trying to think of a way that would reach as many students as possible and give that visual and that auditory feedback. And I have so many teachers that have told me they have adopted this method of just simply, just like this, just that simple.
Yes. Would you mind suggesting a few things how we can overcome the problem of the accent? Because being an Indian, I have a thick accent, Indian accent. So if even though I speak English, I come under the influence of my mother tongue. So would you mind suggesting any tips, or you may techniques, you may call it? So yes.
And this is sort of funny, but it's a real cute story that the kids will relate to. So in the state I live in the southern part of the state. And it's, as you can tell, I have like maybe a southern accent. My son and my grandkids live in the northern part of the state. And our state is such a drastic change between the northern part and the southern part. And so I made a 3-hour trip and I visited my grandkids this past weekend. My granddaughter, who is only 7 years old, talks with a different accent than I do. And the reason is because of the people that she's surrounded by. The people that she's surrounded by talk, and she doesn't have a southern accent at all. In fact, she sounds like maybe she came from the northern United States. She has a really clear, passive accent. So I don't think that you can change it a lot. I really honestly believe. And here's what happened on Saturday. So I'm talking like this, but I get around my granddaughter and I start listening to her talk, and I find myself changing my voice. And so I'm talking like this. And when I'm around here, I was like, oh my goodness, no, I cannot do that. It's not possible. And so I find myself switching really fast based upon the surroundings that I'm at. So unless you, in my opinion, are around people who don't have that accent, it is so hard for you to change. I have a classmate that lives in Australia, and he's lived in Australia for the last 30 years. He came home to visit, and he still speaks English, but he has an amazing Australian accent. It is so funny because I went to school with him. I grew up with him, and he talks like an Australian. And it's because that's what he was surrounded by, and he picked it up. I mean, he picked it up. I love it that he talks like that, but it is so abnormal for when he comes back to the southern United States. Everyone's like, who is that? Where'd he come from? So I really think it has a lot to do with your surroundings.
Yes. Okay, we have 3 minutes time is left. Could you please give a final message to my students who want to become an English teachers?
I don't want to give a speech just to the ones who become an English teacher, because I don't want to put away anyone's dreams. I heard doctors and engineers and all kind of really great aspirational goals that your students have. And I commend them for having that, because if you don't know it or not, at the age you are now, 13, 14, 15, 8th, 9th grade, these are your most pivotal years. Anything that you do now is, you're right here. You're on ground base zero. But everything that you do from this point on is going to be building you. It's going to be just adding building blocks to where you want to be. And the more things that you do, the more knowledge that you obtain, the greater your building blocks are going to become. And just like that fell off, you may have something to fall off. You may not always accomplish every goal, but you keep trying and you keep building until you eventually keep things happen. That's how life is. Something's going to fall off or something's not going to act right for you. And you eventually keep building until you get to where you are. It doesn't matter if you stumble or you fall. My motto is, it's not how you start, it's how you end. How you're starting right now is going to determine your ending. So the goals and things that you have, don't let anyone talk you out of those. I remember someone telling my son that he shouldn't be a professional hockey player. And he listened to them. And he said, Mom, I hate that I listened to that person tell me what my goal should have been. So you know in your heart what you want to do, or what contribution that you want to make to this world. Don't let anyone else change your mind about that. And you may stumble or you may fall, but you're going to get back up and you're going to try it again. I didn't become an English teacher until I was 40 years old.
Okay.
Before that, I had a daycare and I kept students. But it doesn't matter how you start. It's how you end. So start building those building blocks now so that you'll have a great ending.